Hi there, thank you so much for joining me here today. Do you find yourself chasing money? If that is you and you want to learn how to shift yourself, and so you are attracting more abundance or receiving more abundance, more prosperity, stay tuned to this video. This is for you. Before I get into the content of this video, if it's something that does resonate with you, please like, subscribe, and any comments along the way. I'm so happy to hear your comments and feedback and any questions down below. So what do I mean when I say chase money? Well, in our society for decades now, money has been placed really as the highest priority. We have given so much power over to money. It's everywhere we look, to be honest with you. We've all done it. It's been done in governments, in corporations. I mean, everywhere. It's really a consciousness that's been on the earth. Like money just sort of trumps everything else. And what's been happening over the last couple years, since really 2020, the beginning of 2020, is people have slowed down and they've started to take a look at their lives and they're realizing they're sick of the hustle. They're sick of the grind, which really translate to chasing money. If you find yourself saying, I'm tired of grinding, I'm tired of hustling, I'm tired of doing all those things, the rat race is chasing money. That's exactly what it is. So if you find yourself saying that to yourself, that's really what you're doing, is chasing money. But understand, first of all, this has been the way our society has functioned. So it's not always been easy to see that we're doing this. But again, the last couple of years, we slow it down. We start to get clarity on some things. So what is the opposite then? Like how do we actually shift this? What do we actually do instead of chasing money? Well, instead of chasing money, what we need to move into, and if this is something you want to do, is moving into a place of where we are allowing abundance. We are open to receiving abundance, prosperity, wealth, money, whatever that looks like. Because abundance can come in a lot of different ways. It's not just money. It could be opportunities, right? And so it's really about allowing those things to come into our life rather than going after them and sacrificing things like maybe our well-being, our health, maybe sometimes our morals and our ethics, maybe time with loved ones, time taking care of ourselves. There's lots of ways that we sacrifice ourselves to actually chase money. So instead, the alternative is allowing. It's actually slowing ourselves down to allow this into our life. And I want to talk about why have we done this? I want to get to solutions at the end, but I also want to talk about why do we do this? Because to move beyond it and to get to a place where we are allowing abundance, we need to understand why we're doing this in the first place. So I've got a couple of root causes that I want to share, 2 root causes, and then one, I'll just call it what it is. It's a belief. So I want to share the first 2 root causes. The root cause and why we do this is a scarcity mindset. I think it's probably higher than 90% of this world has a scarcity mindset. It's probably closer to 95, really, and maybe even beyond that. There's a fear that there's not going to be enough, that we're going to run out, that we're not going to have a roof over our head. It's like our base needs are not going to be met unless we hustle. So there's a real scarcity mindset. And so just, look at yourself in your life. Scarcity mindset can show up in a lot of different ways. It can show up, obviously chasing money. It can also show up hoarding money. Like if you don't ever want to spend it and you're so really worried about it, that's also a scarcity mindset, because money is supposed to flow, right? It comes and it goes. There's more a flow of it. If we're hoarding it and holding on to it, that also is scarcity. And we can justify that a lot of times and say, well, it's being practical, it's being smart, but there's a fine line between being practical and smart, which I would always recommend you do, and hoarding and really holding on to it. So scarcity mindset can show up in a lot of different ways, and it doesn't just have to be around money. It can be around opportunities. Like it could be around, love. It could be around friendship. It could be around a lot of different things. Do we generally feel like if we don't hold on to things or we chase after them, like have this kind of grabby, needy energy, are we going to lose things? Because that's how we've been living as a society for quite a long time right now, is really under that umbrella of there's not enough. And so to be able to shift from chasing money to allowing, we need to start to shift that mindset around there's not enough. And I'm going to give you some tips at the end on how to do that. The second root cause is this feeling of hustling for our worthiness. This is something we do. It's like we do more and more and more and more and more and more, hoping that the more we do, the more we will receive, the more we will get. It's probably more a mindset of the more we'll get rather than more than we'll receive. So we keep pushing ourselves. And this is where that grind hustle culture comes in. It's like, I've got to work harder and harder and harder. And many of you, I know, are completely exhausted and burned out from this. And rightfully so. But what I want to ask you to consider is it working? Is working harder, putting more of yourself in, sacrificing perhaps your health, your well-being, your personal time, is it actually bringing you to a place where you do feel more prosperous? You do feel more abundance? Because in my experience, there is no end to that. It's a cycle that continues. We just keep doing more and more and more. And I think hustling for your worthiness feels like the best way to describe it to me. It's like this, I've just got to keep doing more to be able to get, because I'm not creating enough value in this world with what I'm doing. So, I'm not getting enough, so I need to do more, right? And that makes sense from a kind of like from a logical, linear brain kind of logic, right? I want more, I do more. But it's not really how it works. If you are already creating value and doing things in this world, working twice as hard isn't going to help. We always want to be taking action. So I'm not saying we don't work, but what I'm saying is, if you feel like you have to keep doing more and more and more just to get a tiny bit more, you're barely, keeping afloat. It's not working. And we see it in the corporate world a lot, where corporations are asking for more and more and more year after year. They're asking for more from their staff, and they're not giving them much more pay. I mean, maybe it's a couple % increase at most, which is not keeping up with inflation, so you're not really getting ahead. But you're really sacrificing yourself, and you're not getting there. And that's why so many of you feel frustrated. It's like, I'm doing more. Why am I not feeling like I'm actually getting somewhere? And the root cause of that is just feeling like you have to just really go beyond what is healthy for you to get a little bit more. And again, I'll give you tips on how to start looking at that and how to start addressing that. So underlying all of this, I said there was a belief. Underlying all of this is a belief that hustling, pursuing, chasing, all these things actually work. Because we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't believe somewhere in us that it worked. So we've bought into it, right? And there's a part of you, if you're still watching this video, that is acknowledging, whether it's just starting to come up or you've really realized it, that it isn't working. Because it is a never-ending cycle. Like, it doesn't end. There is no end. You'll be hustling for the rest of your career and the rest of your life, unless we start to actually work on those root causes and start to heal them. So I want to share right now, before I get into some of those solutions, I actually want to share, what does this look like? So I'm saying you don't want to chase money. What does it look like? So I'm going to give the example of myself. And I don't know how it works in terms of like why it works so much. I mean, I understand the root causes of it. But when I explain it, I often think to myself, it sounds a little woo-woo to me. Like it even sounds woo-woo to me, and I actually know it works. So if it sounds a little woo-woo to me, it might sound a little woo-woo to you. But I have been playing with this in my own life and my own career, my own business, and I'm going to tell you, there is a big difference between, receiving and allowing rather than hustling. So I am an A-type personality. So I'm a doer, I'm a go-getter, I'm a driven person. So throughout my career, I have had that chasing money. I mean, I didn't learn all about this for nothing. It was really to help, heal myself. Like, why am I doing this? What's going on here? And so that's how I function. More was needed, I would do more constantly. And I didn't find that I was getting far ahead. I mean, I was always doing okay. I had a 6-figure salary when I was in the corporate world, but it didn't feel like it reflected what I was giving. And that's the key. If you don't feel like it's reflecting what you're giving, there's a sign there, right? And so I eventually transitioned out of the corporate world. I was working as a CPA, as an accountant, into now being self-employed. Completely transitioned my career. And I still have that same work ethic and that same drive in me. And so my go-to is to work really hard. That is kind of my, so you have like a temperature gauge in you of what you do in your life. My go-to is to work hard. That's just kind of who I am in some ways, right? And I want to create and I want to do things in this world. So it seems natural that I work hard. But what I have noticed, and the great thing about being self-employed, is that the feedback is quite quickly. Like I found in the corporate world, I noticed it that I wasn't getting ahead, but I always couldn't pinpoint what was going on. It wasn't easy to see. Being self-employed really provided clarity because it's the feedback is instant. So if I start to feel like I'm worried about where my next client's going to come from, okay, that's part of the entrepreneurial journey. Is that process. We do have those moments of like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this, right? Like, and I start to feel scarce. My go-to is work harder. So whenever I've had that in the business, that is my go-to. But what I started to realize is that when I did that, I didn't actually get ahead. In fact, I think I pushed people away. I'm going to be really honest. I did. I think I pushed them away. And when I look back, I realized that a lot of that scarcity mindset wasn't really founded in anything. It was a pattern I had. I could just realize that I've got this scarcity mindset, and it really wasn't based in anything. I was doing all the right things. And there was one time where what I did was I was starting to feel really in that scarcity mindset. And I actually booked a vacation, which felt so contrary to what I would have done in the past. But I'm like, I need actually a break because I was feeling scarcity and I was working harder and harder and harder. I'm like, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm like, I need a break. So I booked a few days away, and lo and behold, as soon as I was away and I stopped chasing, stopped wondering, stopped worrying, stopped doing all these things, business came. Like literally, when you get messages on your phone, it's kind of like, wow. And so when I say the feedback is immediate, it is immediate. It's like, wow, this stuff really works. And so when I look back on what did I do? Well, I stepped back. I took my foot off the accelerator. I just went, okay, I've done all the things. I am doing all the content I want. I am creating value. My intentions are good. I really want to help people. I'm doing all the things. It's now time to actually just allow things to come in. The harder I pushed, and the way I look at it, maybe this resonates with you, maybe it doesn't, but it's like when we push hard against something, we don't let in energy or things come from around us. So it's like we're pushing so hard, there's no room in here. It's like it's tight. See what I mean? Like it's just this tightness in here. It doesn't allow us to receive. So when you kind of almost just kind of release, and you can see it, it's just like all of a sudden, you've got the space here. And what does that allow for? It allows for opportunities, people, abundance, however it may, show up for you, actually allows it into that space. And what I really anchored in, what I noticed is when I just really anchored in, my intentions are always to create value. That is it. And I anchored in that. I really, really anchored in that. I'm doing all the steps. I'm creating value. That's my intention. People are telling me I'm creating value, so that's good. But really anchoring in that. And that's when I talk about hustling for your worthiness. It was actually realizing what I'm doing is worthy, what I'm creating and who I am. I have a purpose in this world. And I do want to create change. I do want to uplift people's life. I want to help them. And I'm willing to do the work. And so just taking a step back, even taking some deep breaths. I remember I went on hikes in nature. I had such an amazing time. And then to come back and actually see how that actually helped me. I put my own well-being above money, right? And I actually benefited from it in a monetary way. And I got to help some really cool people. So that's my example. I've experienced it firsthand. And again, that's kind of my explanation of how and why this works. It's pretty powerful though. But until you start to play with it, it can sound a little nebulous, right? So I said I was going to give some tips. I've actually been working on this for a lot of my life. I've been, looking into scarcity. I've been looking into money mindset, and I've been spending many years on this. And one of the things you can start to do is actually, start affirmations. So when you look at what is scarcity, there's not enough. Daily affirmations. Affirmations don't change us overnight. When you think of how many years maybe you've been feeling scarcity and feeling like there's not enough, it's going to take a bit of while to almost like reprogram your mind. So that's where affirmations can really come in handy. Like, I am enough. I will always be enough. There will always be enough for me. I am safe. Isn't that what scarcity is about? Not feeling safe. I'm safe. It's not looking for something or somebody outside of us. We look at money as safety, money as security, but actually you are those things. You are safe right now, here in this moment of now. So I am safe. I am secure. And then when you look at things like, when I talk about, hustling for your worthiness, I am valuable. I am value. And really look at your intention and just honor yourself. Just acknowledge everything you are doing to create value and knowing you have a place in this world. You have a purpose. And there are people who need you and who value you. And just, I am value. I am valuable. And in those moments, when you find yourself chasing money, having that feeling inside of you, like you are, and you can sometimes know that feeling. When you're in those moments, stop. Ask yourself, what do I really need? What do I really need? Do I need a break? Do I need exercise? Do I need some time off? Do I need to spend some time with family? It's actually tapping into yourself. It's just stopping. Disconnect from your situation as much as you can. Just almost put it at an arm's length away from you. Just get some distance from it. And ask yourself, what do I actually need in this moment? And you will get answers. And the more you start to honor yourself, that's when you also start to trust yourself more. And your whole being can start to change. But it does take some time. This is not something that happens overnight. Just keep at it though. If you do keep at it, you can make some really, really powerful shifts in yourself. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope you find those tips helpful. And I'd love to hear, do you use them? Have you tried them? And any results that you hear? They've made powerful shifts in my life, so I know they work. And again, if this has been valuable, please like, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.